So I just watched Superman. I'm not here to tell you what to think about it. I'm just here to share my thoughts. What was so lovely was I went to go see it at my local theater instead of AMC theaters in Manhattan, and the people in front of me were two elderly people. They were an elderly couple, and they said, "We'd like 2 tickets for Superman, please." And they got their tickets like little kids, and they went inside the theater, and they, I assume, had a great time. And at the end of the movie, someone behind me had gone, "Ow!" And I turned around and I said, "Is everything okay, ma'am?" And she said, "Yeah, whew, it's my knee. You know, when you hit 70 years old, you're gonna feel your knees too, Sonny. Do you need help or anything?" She said, "No, I'm okay. You have a nice day." I said, "You too." And it just shows that, like, Superman is the people's hero. He is across ages, across generations, and I found that really wonderful. Things that do work about the movie. This guy, David Corenswet as Superman, is so wonderful on screen. He wants to be there. He's such an effusive, humble actor that you just feel that this guy wants to take care of people. And Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. The two of them together, their chemistry is iconic. The way that they come alive on screen together is very real, very grounded. And I also like Jimmy Olsen. And where is he? Where's Mr. Terrific and Mr. Terrific? These four, let me move out of the way. Let me put myself right here. These four are incredible. Oh, also I like Metamorpho. Oh, and I also like Razorhands over there. They're all really great. They come alive on screen. They stand out. Excellent performances. Now, Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, such a good actor. I just don't think he was written well. Now, some of the things that didn't actually work were, unfortunately, Krypto. He was so unpredictable, and I thought that he was going to have some sort of arc, and maybe he does, and that's why they included some bonus scene that's in the movie. It's not an end credit scene. We'll talk about the end credit scenes really quickly, but at the end of the movie, there is a secret character who shows up who has something to do with Krypto, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. So maybe he'll have an arc there, but throughout this movie, I actually was flabbergasted at how much of a nuisance and unpredictable maniac this dog is. Like, even to the point of Superman's detriment. He doesn't have an off switch for his playfulness, and Superman's like about to die, things are awful, and he's like, "Krypto, Krypto!" It's like, did you not learn from the first 800 times? Because we're just jumping into the story, and it's not like, oh, Superman just arrived. It's like, he's here, he's been here, we're just catching him mid everything. So he seems like he's already known that Krypto is unreliable, but he continues to whistle and call on him, and he just ruins everything to the point where it's just not funny anymore. There is a real serious threat at hand, Krypto, and you are just in need of serious training. What's really interesting about the Justice League gang, which is a very funny name for them, is you could totally just replace Green Lantern with Chris Pratt's Star-Lord. You could replace Mr. Terrific, who's incredible, or terrific, with Nebula, and you can replace Hawkgirl with Gamora. And then this is basically your triangle from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So they have the same kind of shticks, and when they're on screen, their banter is exactly the same, their pacing is exactly the same. That's why it was so refreshing to have Superman, who's a character that has not really been done before. He's not trying to fit in with other groups. He just knows, he believes in what he's standing for, which is interesting because the story does something really bizarre. I would love to know what y'all's thoughts about it are. I always thought that his parents sent him to Earth to save him, but in the story of it, they make it seem like he's sent to take care of us in a different way, like to make his own community of supers by spreading his genes. And everyone's like, no, it's been confirmed by forensics. No, it's been confirmed. Our Earth linguists have planetary knowledge, and they've deciphered what the Kryptonians were saying. And it's like totally believable, even though it came from Lex Luthor, who is a villain. But he said that they said it, so it must be true. And I was like, are we changing Superman's lore? Even though the trailers had shown a lot, there is so much in the story in terms of fight scenes and even just the third act big battle that has been kept under wraps and really was a surprise and very fun to watch, because David Corenswet is truly at his most vulnerable as a superhero, which is really great to see because he has to depend, like a family does, on other people to help him, which is great because it's basically saying that the DC universe is going whether or not you're on board or not. And I did like Metamorpho's moment with him But so many moments happen that you're like, is this realistic? Would this actually happen? Because stakes were set, and the sheer destruction and the grandeur and the massive scale of it all, and you're like, how does anyone recover from this? Like, it's Avengers level of decimation times a million, and you're like, these cities and these people won't recover. But the only person who on screen dies is a person of color, and it makes you think like, what is actually being said here? And David Corenswet is destroyed by it, and there is a commentary about being from another planet or an alien who is undocumented, things like that, that just let you think, as an audience, this is very much of the times, which I am grateful that they're not shying away from it, so we can have a conversation as the people who are living in this world. One of the first things that Superman does that just steals my heart, I would love to hear what you all thought about it, is when he says, "Crypto, what the hey, man?" It's so great because he wouldn't curse. He's very much like a person who is of a good heart. But then later in the movie, he starts cursing, which I wish that they didn't let him do that. I wish that he subbed and substituted every curse word, because he would do that. And I also think that it's very interestingly constructed that James Gunn had the people who are bad-mouthing Superman on social media be like mindless monkeys who are typing, so that anyone who does say anything that's potentially negative about the movie, even though every movie has great things and things that can be improved, might be pointed out as one of those mindless monkeys, which is a really interesting thing to put in your movie. Because this movie has so much going for it, especially Mr. Terrific, who needs his own movie. These three on this side, Metamorpho as well, and Razorhands over there. They're so good, especially Lois and Clark Kent. They are so alive. When they talk about their relationship, that's sort of another anchoring point of the movie. And when he was sort of asking Lois, what does she mean about some of the words that she said, you could feel his hurt. And that was his big takeaway. Who is Superman is what this question was, what this movie's asking. The people are asking it, and he's even asking it of himself. And when he's supposed to have his big third act conversation against Lex, it doesn't land because script just sometimes doesn't work very well. The comedy sometimes falls, but also the big message of the movie of who Superman is. David Corenswet did an incredible job of with what he was given, but the reality of these characters, almost like if you made it a silent movie, the way that they carry themselves is just so wonderful. You want to get to know them more. You're rooting for their success, and Mr. T-Spheres as well. So good. Also, I'm not really sure what the commentary was about him and the girlfriend that he has. That was also bizarre. But what did you think about it? Let me know. I had a great time. I just wish they didn't let him curse, and they let him be the symbol and beacon of hope, and didn't skimp out on certain moments where they're like asking for Superman to show up, but then other people do, and he's like, I need help too. Final kiss between these two. As it happens, the cinematography is so great. Everything's swirling around them. There's magic. The music is swelling, and they kiss, and you're like, wow, wait. How is that the only building that didn't break? Everything else is destroyed and shattered, and they're kissing in the last standing building, to the point where it pulls you out of the movie and you're like, how is that building still standing? Also, about the end credit scenes, there are two of them. The first one is sort of just a picture image, and then the second end credit scene, after it happened, one of the teenagers in the audience said, "We waited all this time for a crack?" But the actual end scene of the movie is really powerful because a new secret character is introduced, which builds out the cinematic universe of the DC studios. But it makes you think, as he's like sitting there reflecting on his history of his parents and stuff, there's all this footage and you're like, who was recording Baby Superman? Who was doing that the whole time? Was it Gary?